The place, Old Trafford, Manchester. The time, 20 years ago, almost exactly. And this happened.
Nistelrooy jumps into him now. Did Vieira kick out then? It looks as though Steve Bennett thinks that he did. He's off towards Forlan, but penalty against Martin Keown. The controversy hasn't finished here. Arsenal cannot believe it. In stoppage time, the responsibility rests with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Oh, he's missed it! He has hit the bar! It's the final whistle. And Arsenal do get their draw, but it's not finished yet. They're all around Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Now then, if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you'll see the image that is on the screen at the moment. 20 years since the Battle of Old Trafford, and Martin Keown literally right in the face of Ruud van Nistelrooy. Have you ever apologised to Ruud for that? When you see that image, do you regret it, the way it finished that day?
There's two questions there, Jim. Come on. The first question, did I shake hands with him? Yes, I did. I shook hands with him at the semi-final of the FA Cup when they knocked us out. The day when Reyes was kicked from pillar to post, God rest his soul, because Manchester United needed to be physical against us. So that was another story. Went out the FA Cup that day. Did I hate him? Was the next question, was it?
No, I didn't ask you that.
You're showing a little bit too much there.
You've jumped the gun with the H word.
Didn't hate anybody.
You apologised to him, or did? Are you pals?
I said to him,
are you pals
don't
now?
take it personally. Do you know? Because I had it in for most strikers, but more so him actually. To be fair, but what he'd done, Patrick Vieira was our main midfield player, and he got him sent off. 10 minutes to go in the game. The game was going nowhere, Jim.
Vieira kicked out, if I remember.
He did, but I just had a look back at it this week, of course, because I've been questioned on it, and Van Nistelrooy knows there that he's left all sorts on Patrick. The knees come up, it's gone right into his back. And it's just like...
when you look back on it, because it gets dragged up, and I know you're not particularly enamoured of being dragged up, do you look back on it with any regret? If the roles are reversed, I mean, obviously you'd get a couple of old ladies in front of you to protect you. If the roles are reversed, how would you have been the reactionary towards the circumstances?
I just took it on the chin and just... I would have probably showed more anger than Van Nistelrooy did. I was a little bit surprised at the way that... Actually, he wasn't really protected by his teammates. There'd been previous in this game, and I think he knew that he'd caused that storm. And at the end of the day, he had the chance to score a penalty. He's probably only thinking about that, the big miss. But it was massive for me because it was. I was coming to the end of my career, and I didn't want to let this group down. I was 37 years of age, and the penalty was given against me. I thought harshly. Martin Tyler's very keen to give it in the commentary. There's interest in it. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was a penalty.
He's got a thing with Tyler.
No, not really.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, it's unlucky. How has he seen that, the referee? But anyway, and then he misses. Of course, it's massive for me that he was, and when you look back in time, that we were to go unbeaten the whole season, and you had to get something at Old Trafford. To get a penalty at Old Trafford was...
But I remember watching it at the
time. A free kick was a miracle.
I remember watching it at the time, and I wasn't offended. I sat there watching it, and I wasn't offended by Martin's reaction. No. I didn't look at it and go... And the only thing I remember, and I'm pretty sure it's that game, was Parler sneaking in a sneaky little dig into Van Nistelrooy's ribs. Was that the game? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He gave him a punch, a little cow, stood behind someone else while he did it.
You were more kind of...
I think you saw a little bit about
Martin.
The team spirit that was around at that point. Manchester United, I think, when we were in a situation where everything, it was a game within a game. The way they get round the referees, it was so difficult going to Old Trafford. I mean, it was even to the extent, Jim, we touched on this, did a piece with the Daily Mail, about when it was a match day, if we were playing them, we were like, we're not going into the tunnel until they do. We want them to wait for us. We're the top dogs here, not them. And we did this with every team, but no one really realised. But Manchester United, they wouldn't come out either. So they was all these things, we were big on, and we weren't going to be intimidated by them. Now, we thought we were better than them. And look what they achieved, by the way. Magnificent team, 1999, they went on to win the treble. And in that period, we wrestled away some of their dominance. And at that point, Jim, up to that, they were winning everything, Manchester United. When we won the league in 97-98, they'd won everything, except for Blackburn winning it once. They'd won everything.
Do you just crack on with life, even in the knowledge that because of that, you're pretty much despised by many Manchester United fans, but
Well,
you are lauded by the Arsenal support.
I did have a Man United fan come to me and say that it was worse than Cantona when he took a kung fu kick into the crowd. And I said, I jumped up and down in the air. You might not have liked my behaviour, but I don't think it was violent. But there we are. You can't separate it. You can't change people's beliefs and minds. The Arsenal fans, it was very balanced by the Mail, by the way. They went and got They didn't get an Arsenal opinion on it. They got a Man United opinion on it.
It wasn't violent. It was quite threatening.
Well, maybe, but the Manchester United fans
intimidating.
Is that where you had an epiphany about player welfare? I suddenly thought I need to make sure that I adjust my ways, amend my ways.
I was only interested in my players and not theirs. But there was that many suspensions, that many fines. We did really well to recover from that. And be honest, Jim, it was probably the beginning of the end of my career at Arsenal because I got injured. Warming up in a game, sort of 3 games later, and then the penalty, the number of games I had was quite a few weeks later. So you couldn't get back. You couldn't get back in the team because it didn't lose, did it?
Our hearts bleed, Martin.
Our hearts bleed. Can we have more guests on a Friday, please?
That's right. Martin's wondering why we've got all these guests on a Friday and it's less of him on air. Martin Keown, it was someday 20 years ago.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.